Enlow is the president and CEO of EdChoice, one of the nation's most respected and successful advocates for educational choice. He has authored numerous articles, book chapters, and op-eds that appear in journals and books and papers all over the United States. He has a postgraduate education from Oxford University and a bachelor's from the Seattle Pacific University. He's active on numerous boards and works tirelessly to improve educational opportunities for all children in America as a champion for school choice. Robert, the floor is yours.
Michael, thank you so much for having me. And I have to say, it's been an honor to hear all of the incredible participants today and learn so much about what's going on around the world. I'm going to comment and talk about American education and the response to the COVID crisis among parents, teachers, and states, and then talk about the landscape, the opportunities, and the threats that we are facing. Briefly, when you ask about the landscape, when you look at this crisis that's been going on in schooling in America, what are parents concerned about? Obviously, they're concerned about their children getting exposed to the virus at school. Clearly, 2/3 of them in a poll that we did recently said that's their biggest concern. Well, that'll bear out when we talk about reopening of schools. What will be a parent's willingness to go back to schools? Really, what's interesting when we surveyed parents as well was the things that they were concerned about versus the things they weren't concerned about. So fully 7 out of 10 of them were concerned about their child missing instruction time, but barely half of them were worried about the meals, right? So it's interesting, the things that the teachers are worried about and the school systems are worried about are the provision of social services, the provision of meals, rightfully so. The things the parents are worried about are getting their kids educated, which we thought was very interesting. They're very concerned about their child missing that instruction time, but not worried if they're missing work time. Only 54% of the parents said we're concerned if we miss work because school is closed. They really have a sense of their children needing to be educated. This actually matters because when you look at schools reopening and what the impact of this will be, at least in the United States, is you're beginning to see a picture of how systems are going to react versus how parents are going to react. For example, USA Today just did a poll saying that 4 in 10 parents are opposing returning to school unless there's a vaccine. 1 in 5 teachers are saying they're not going to return unless there's even if there's a vaccine, they're not going to return this fall. So there's a significant impact on what's happening and transition from what the traditional schooling is. That's not even considering the dramatic budgetary problems that our states and local districts face. If just 30% of the kids currently in non-public schools migrate back to public schools, as you saw in 2008, that's going to be an additional $20 billion shortfall for American public schools and American states. So you'll see state and local school districts have to spend much more on taxpayer resources to fund if the kids are going to migrate back. So it's interesting. The landscape is parents are actually are more concerned about their kids getting to school. They're more concerned about their kids getting educated. They're less concerned about the social services as opposed to the school districts. The budgets are going to face a dramatic cliff. Teachers are saying they may not even return to school. And so where do we look at that in that landscape, what the opportunities are? As we did our polling at EdChoice, one of the things we ask is, who do you trust to make good decisions for your children? Not surprisingly, 88% of the people say we trust teachers to make good decisions. But interestingly, and this may seem shocking to you all, 78% said they trust parents to make good decisions. Now, you would think that would be normal, but in America, that's actually really high, and it's at a number level of support for parent decision making that we have not seen in a while. American parents are not seen by many members of the public and by teachers as good actors in their child's education. But this crisis has actually shown that parents are to be trusted. And so that's coming out also in our polling that we have done related to how parents feel they're ready to access online instruction. We're seeing that when we ask them, how prepared did you feel? How prepared are you? How active are you in your child's online instruction? 71% of the parents that we surveyed are saying they're actually prepared. They're ready to go and they're ready to do it. This is super interesting when USA Today's poll is saying that only 3% of the families report they don't have access to the internet every day. So there's a whole conversation about what's happening versus what people are saying and what parents are experiencing. Here's where it gets super interesting. We ask if parents' opinions have changed on homeschooling as a result of the coronavirus. So we want to find out what the impact of this virus has been. And what we're finding is 52% of the families we talk to, or the people we talk to, report that they're more favorable towards homeschooling, and only 26% report they're less favorable. So this is a situation where families are seeing that they're more trusted, that they're more prepared, that they're more favorable towards homeschooling. In fact, a USA Today poll that came out that I just mentioned also said that 60% will likely continue homeschooling after the coronavirus. Now think about this, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what USA Today's poll said. The reality is there is a different type of schooling. We're hearing, like in our state here, where they may not come back until there's a virus, until there's a vaccine, I mean. So if schools don't open in the fall, what's going to happen to the idea of blended and homeschool and opportunities? What you're going to see, I think, is the opportunity for families to take more control. You're going to see a conversation in the policy world of mastery versus seat time. It's more important that children learn, not that they're in a seat or in a building for a certain amount of time. You're going to see a conversation about multiple platforms, delivery of educational services via multiple platforms. Learn Everywhere is a website out there that's been fantastic. HSLDA has a fantastic website for this. You're going to see a much more personalized delivery of education, and that's the opportunity. And I think what's happening is that's because we're unbundling all the schools. We're in a situation now where the threats that we face as people who support parental options are that the system is saying we've got to do everything in a building, and the families are saying we actually got this, right? Just let us get our child educated. And it's beginning to come much more aggressively to a head, particularly when it comes to the idea that if you see these, Randy Weingarten which who's a head of the large union in America, will say, we don't care as much about getting our kids educated as we want all the money to make sure that their school is the center of civic society. We want the school to be the food producer, the social worker, mental health provider, the entire center of our society. And that's what they're saying now. And that's not what parents are saying. So there's a huge gap between sort of parents' desires and the system. And the threats that we face, as you heard from Senator Cruz, is there are a lot of federal, and as Senator Rucker knows, a lot of state legislators who are not favorable towards this cause and who have been doing everything they can to stop parents from having this freedom. I think you've also heard from Senator Cruz about the elites at Harvard not being supportive of this. And the question is as parents get more and more empowered, as they feel more and more prepared, it's going to be a situation where you're going to see a dramatic rise, in our opinion, in the ability of families to homeschool, families to control their educational environments in a way that we've not seen before. So this is great news, and thanks to groups like HSLDA who will help us have better quality control and make sure we get the right messages out there. This is a really good environment, and the polling says that it's very positive towards homeschooling in America. Thank you very much.